The second meeting of the Board of Legislators dated Monday, January 27th, 2014. If we could all please stand at this time. And if Legislator Parker will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of contemplative silence for our great country, its people, and those serving it around the world. Thank you. Roll call.
Majority Leader Borgia. Here. Minority Leader Testa.
Here.
Mr. Boykin.
Here.
Mr. Burrows. Here. Mr. Gelfarb. Here. Mr. Harcum.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins.
Here.
Mr. Mazzano. Ms. Marcotte. Ms. Parker.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Ms. Shimsky. Here. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Spreckman. Ms. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Chairman.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Excellent. Majority Leader Borgia, please. Minutes approval.
Okay. I would like to move that we approve the minutes of several meetings: Wednesday, December 4th at 7 p.m., Monday, December 9th, 2013 at 10:30 a.m., Monday, December 16th, 2013 at 7 p.m., Monday, December 16th, 2013 at 7:30 p.m., Monday, December 30th, 2013 at 9 a.m., and Monday, January 6th, 2014 at 7 p.m.
Do we have a second to the minute approval?
Second.
Test of second. And I want to do a long roll call, first of the year.
Ms. Borgia? Yes. Minority Leader Testa?
Yes.
Mr. Boykin?
Yes.
Mr. Burrows? Mr. Gelfarb? Mr. Harcum?
Yep.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano? Ms. Marcotte? Ms. Parker?
Procedurally, I was only here for the meeting on the 6th, so I will say yes
Just
to
for
the
that.
meeting on the 6th.
Okay. Ms. Perez? Okay. Ms. Shimsky?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Spreckman? Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
The minutes all are approved.
Excellent. We have public comment. The clerk could read the rules. Public comment? Would you move the consent agenda? Okay. Before that, let's move the consent agenda. And any changes? Madam Majority
Mr.
Leader?
Chairman, I would like to move the consent agenda with no changes.
Excellent. Mr. Minority Leader? Testa?
They were included.
Where,
Yes. The clerk was able to make the changes that we discussed.
Okay. We agree. Right.
Yes, I make that representation.
With that, we agree. Second.
Okay. Excellent. Just a short roll call.
Mr. Chairman?
Point of information. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Point of order. Asked that we sever items 15 and 16 for this particular short roll call.
The motion to sever 15 and 16. And sever does not require a second, I believe, so it's severed at this point. So all the items non-severed, a short roll call on those.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can you clarify which items we're talking about?
Sure. Mr. Jenkins?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Item 15 and item 16 are the Playland Improvement Plan items.
Oh, I see 15 is at the bottom of page 4.
Yes, 15 is on bottom of page 4, and 16 is on page 5, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, those two are severed to the remaining items at this point. Short roll call.
Majority Leader Borgia?
Yes.
Minority Leader Testa?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano? Mr. Chairman?
Aye. And to the two severed items that before us then?
Over, Mr. Chairman.
Those are over, 15 and 16. Okay, very good. And now let's go to public comment. the clerk could read the rules for us.
Each speaker shall be limited to 3 minutes. The first speaker is Mr. Kenneth Ball. As he's making his way down, I'll call the next couple of speakers. Mr. George Zerba, Ms. Susan Totten, Lucinda McKinnon, Michael Vissy, and Edmund Riley. If the remaining speakers could make their way down the aisle to my left and form a line behind the black robes.
Ready? Chairman Klaplowitz and fellow legislators, I am asking you to conduct a thorough review and due diligence of all the proposals for playland and not be locked into the flawed SBI PIP plan. I have lived at 14 Adelaide Street, Rye, 100 yards from the park, for 46 years. Served on the Playland Advisory Committee in 1980-83, which inspected the operation of Marriott's Chicago amusement park prior to their being selected to run Playland in 1981-82. I am a retired engineer. I strongly oppose to the county's plan to impose the intrusive year-round private sports complex in the Playland parking lot. This invasive commercial project is not in keeping with a seaside beach and amusement park with green space intended for rest and relaxation. The SBI plan to build a 12,095,000 square feet field house will adversely affect the quality of life and property values of those who live in the Ryan Park area and adjoining areas abutting the park. The plan is flawed. It has morphed from the 2011 vision plan, which de-emphasized large capital-intensive rides financed by debt and emphasized preservation of green space. And it's morphed to the current PIP with costly large rides and a 95,000 square foot field house. The latter, Playland Sports told us, is so that they can compete with Chelsea Piers and the Ardsley Indoor Sports Complex. How could they not compete when operating tax-free against the other enterprises that pay tax? If built, the county will own this building. That means all of us, who are Westchester taxpayers, will be part owners. We will own a $12 million building built on a marshland in a flood zone with a history of floods and severe storm damage. In the storm of 1952, the water was 2.5 feet deep. This raises the question of whether or not it will float due to the upward thrust of the displaced water. And that's not a stupid question, it's an engineering one. The builders of the park knew what they were doing. They built the casino on the only piece of solid ground in the park, out by the pier, and sized the parking lot to enable sufficient visitors and therefore revenue. 2.8 million visitors in 1924, 1 million in 1980, the last year of operation by the Playland Commission. That year, the profit was 1 million. The county wanted more profit. In 1981, they hired Marriott to run the park and introduced an admission fee in addition to the parking fee. One admission price for Westchester residents and a higher price for all others, making them feel second class. This caused people from New York City and Connecticut, who historically comprised 50% of the visitors, to stay away in droves. The drop in attendance resulted in the concessionaires leaving with their rides, since they could no longer make a profit. This discriminatory admission policy continues today.
Sir, if you could, 3 minutes. We could take your written statement if you'd like and circulate it, so maybe you could finish up.
Okay, you want to finish now?
If you could, sir.
Okay. This raises the interesting question, how will the managed segregate these going to the amusement area from the residency-based price from those going to the house with one price admission? I've got copies then for all of you, because there's a whole lot more, just the second page.
Very good.
Which gets to the punchline.
Thank you, sir.
Do you distribute these for me? Thank you. There's a copy for each administrator. The applicable reference documents, the newspapers are there, so you can go back and
Everyone
check.
will get a set. Thank you,
Not
sir.
my editorializing.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Mr. George Zerba.
Good evening, everyone. My name is George Sherba. I reside at 16 Adelaide Street, Rye, New York, with my wife, with my wife Dawn. I'm here this evening to request that the City of Rye be named as an interested party in the environmental review process for Playland/SPI proposal, particularly that of the PIP, which is the field house, the 95,000 square field house, and the 2 artificial turf fields. The county executive, for whatever reason, thought that Rye should not be a interested party. That couldn't be farther from the truth. The impact that this project's going to have on our community it's just it's ill-conceived. The city attorney had sent a letter off to the county exec a couple of weeks ago requesting the same, and as far as I know, there's no answer as of yet. At the same time, laterally, why is Rye being asked to be the lead agency for affordable housing project proposed in Rye, and not a place at the table for the SPI plan as a concerned party? It's absolutely bewildering why we can't have a place at the table for the Playland project, but they want us to lead the charge for affordable housing for that proposed site in Rye. The impact of this ill-conceived project is far-reaching and it goes well beyond our neighborhood streets. It has been poorly presented at best to the citizens of Rye by SPI with many, many, many unanswered questions. I'm requesting, if at all possible, some type of town hall meeting with all concerned interested parties present, county government, the City of Rye government, SPI and its vendors, and possibly residents of Rye and the county. I ask for your support and our inclusion in this process. Thank you.
Susan Totten.
I had a stroke. I have aphasia, so I can't get it. I'll never make it in three minutes. So she's going to speak with me.
Of course.
Okay. I'm Susan Totten, and this is
Dawn Sherba. What was what address are you in?
51 Beck Avenue in Rye.
Hi. I'm going to read this for her, I hope. I do not agree with the SBI plan. Playland opened in 1928, a totally planned amusement park to provide family fun and entertainment center. Playland was owned and operated by Westchester County and was designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1987. I feel Playland has not kept up, losing money. Let's fix it. Turn it back into a very nice amusement park. Keep it clean, the beautiful symmetry of Art Deco structure. I do not want to add a new huge building. This can't look good next to Playland. And behind the neighborhood, our Rye property taxes always go up. With SBI, will our property values go down? Would the SBI people involved like it if they had a house in their neighborhood next door to the field house? With all the SBI problems and discussions, I was thinking of a great movie, The Bells of St. Mary's in 1945. The heartwarming story about a priest and a nun trying to save their school from being shut down, and the businessman wants the building condemned. Then he could put up a parking lot for his own employees. So, who encourages him to perform good deeds? And after confessing that he has acted selfishly, he offers the nun his new building to use as a school. The nun ends up in happiness. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just shaking my cleave.
Lucinda McKinnon.
Cindy McKinnon, 13 Redfield Street in Rye. And I'm here to urge you not to allow the 95,000 square foot field house to be constructed at Playland Park as proposed in the first phase, the Playland Improvement Plan, that's currently awaiting approval by Westchester County. When my friends, neighbors, and I first heard about sustainable Playland, it sounded ideal. Then things started to change, and the plan we supported became no longer sustainable. Gone is the sculpture garden, gone is the great lawn that would have meant an increase in green space in the park. The decision was made to keep all the rides in the existing amusement park, and thus there is a need to keep all the parking spaces in order for that zone to cover their operating costs. Unfortunately, SPI plans on giving over 5 acres of parking to build the field house, a field house that grew by over 23,000 square feet while no one was looking. Now we're expected to believe that with a revitalized amusement park expected to attract more attendees, and the existing ice casino, beach, and pool, plus a children's museum opening to year-round visits, restaurants opening and attracting diners year-round, plus a field house, that there will not be a need for additional parking. If they can do that, in fact, they can do it with 5 acres less parking, logic would tell you this simply cannot be true. Not only will it bring increased traffic through the small town of Rye, but the proposed field house is in direct conflict with Playland's U.S. National Historic Landmark status. The field house has not gone through the alienation process, as is the law in changing the use of parkland, a process that the Westchester Children's Museum had to go through, even though that is a nonprofit, whereas the proposed field house is a for-profit business. The field house would adversely change the charming characteristics of the intimate neighborhood that is less than a block away. This isn't houses on acres. These are people who live right next to their neighbors, and now they're going to put this massive building. And also, the field house has the potential long-term environmental impacts on its other direct and voiceless neighbors, the Edith Reed Bird Sanctuary, the Long Island Sound, and Manor-Sing Lake, which, according to the New York State Department, is a significant coastal fish and wildlife habitat. And is it really wise to let an unproven company build a 95,000 square foot behemoth on parkland when they only have a 10-year lease? What happens if they fail like so many new businesses do? What are we left with but an eyesore smack dab in the middle of one of Westchester's loveliest parks? There is a solution. SPI claims it cannot go forward without the field house, but another operator can. Central Amusements, the very company that SPI says it plans to run the amusement park zone, is still willing to do business with their own agreement with Westchester County. They also allow for the Children's Museum, the ice casino, and the restaurants, all of which are contained in existing buildings. And thus they are not altering Playland's landmark status and lessening the impact to the neighborhood, the town, and the environment. Please reconsider Central Amusement's proposal, and most importantly, say no to the field house before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Vesey.
Good evening. I'm Michael Vishy, 38 Redfield Street, Rye, New York, very close neighbor to Playland Amusement Park. I'm here before you to voice my opposition to SPI's Playland Improvement Plan, submitted to the Board of Legislators and County Executive Astorino in September of 2013. I'm sure you are aware with this is a revised plan from the original plan submitted during the RFP process. It increases the size of the field house, retains most existing rides and adds others, decreases green space from the Great Lawn proposal, and maintains adding a children's water park where the existing swimming pool is. There are many reasons why I think this is not a good idea for Rye or the county, but I will only focus on one at this time. One of the main issues is parking. The new proposal calls for a 95,000 square foot indoor sporting complex with 2 outdoor full-size multi-purpose turf fields in a FEMA flood zone, for that matter. These facilities will eliminate over 900 parking spaces of the main parking lot. Those, coupled with the 100 spaces set aside for the Tiki Bar, almost 50% of those parking spaces will have been eliminated. Excuse me. The whole intent of revitalizing Playland is to attract more visitors. If you take a line from the movie Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. And at the end of the movie, they show all the cars driving toward the field. More importantly is, when they come, where are they going to park? SPI must already know that there is a parking issue. And I didn't do a handout, but as you see by the handout, if you take a line, if they have allocated space on either side of Playland Parkway in front of the existing pool to create 125 spaces. These grass fields contain majestic oaks and elms, as well as other regional flora. They back up to residential properties on Redfield Street, Beck Avenue, and Ward Park roads. This will severely impact privacy and reduce property values. I feel this will increase the possibility of crimes such as trespassing, litter, and who knows what else. as most of these yards do not have barrier fences. I have witnessed this firsthand at the parking lot for beach and the pool. Parents changing their children in the lot, discarding soiled diapers on the ground in the grass areas. Some of these same folks set up barbecue grills, which are against the rules, and dump hot coals in the grass where people walk their dogs. I have also seen people pitch tents to shield themselves from the hot summer sun. We do not need this to be happening 10 feet from our homes. Visitors will try to park wherever they can find a spot, and this includes local roads where we have no street parking rules in effect from Milton Road to Long Island Sound, May 1st to October 1st. With a year-round facility, will we need to have year-round no parking? The Rye Police Department will need to increase their patrols to eliminate illegal parking and make our neighbors feel a sense of security. Where will these extra dollars come from? I don't think it will come from Playland Sports Incorporated, the only tenant and proprietor of the field house itself. Although they will have a lease for a for-profit entity, they will not be required to pay any taxes to the City of Rye, as this facility is on Westchester County parkland. As with the Tiki Bar on the boardwalk and Seaside Johnny's in Rytown Park, sweet deal if you can get it.
If you could please wrap
I got 2 more sentences, please.
2 sentences.
With that said, I also feel there is a legal precedent as well, per the alienation guidelines for county parkland handed down from the state of New York for no for-profit entity for sporting activity can be a leaseholder on county parkland. I hope I have expressed myself well enough to get your attention. Please do your homework, and when the time comes, please vote no for this type of facility in a residential zone, not to mention a flood zone. It is not good for Rye, and it is not good for the county. Thank you.
I will circulate material, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Mr. Edmund Riley. As Mr. Riley makes his way down, I'll call the remaining 2 speakers, Ms. Regina Riley and Ms. Deidre Curran.
One of the notes, I'm Ed Riley from Croton, on these handouts, which the legislators will get, is a note saying Sandra Gallup, who's an assemblywoman. We refer to her as, from the Red Riding Hood perspective, as she looks like Grandma, but she's really the big bad wolf. It says, Gallup supports killing children in the womb for all 9 months, which is the truth. And I'll get into the details. But the brochure itself refers to the proposed abortion law, which is a 9-month abortion law being proposed in New York State. The lie, the Democrats, this is the party of slavery, by the way, the Democrats, the party of big city political corruption, abortion on demand, drug legalization, moral degeneracy. That's the Democratic Party. And they probably do represent 50% of the people in the United States. They probably do. This is the party in New York State, who are updated in, who wants to make abortion legal for 9 months. Now, here's the BS line. We're bringing it into line with federal law. We're making it compatible with Roe v. Wade. That's the truth. That's the only thing true that they said. Why? Because Roe v. Wade protects nobody. Doesn't protect the women, doesn't protect a child, a twin, protects nobody. It says the law, the states may legislate this in the first trimester, may legislate this in the second trimester, and may legislate this in the third trimester. So when they say we're bringing it into line with federal statute, that's a lie. We're bringing it into line with Roe v. Wade. That's the truth, because Roe v. Wade permits everything. This radical legislation would make it legal for kill a child 9 months for any reason in this state, the most liberal law in the United States, and this is their purpose, it will make it an abortion destination nationwide and internationally. That's what the Democratic Party stands for. They were defeated by 1 vote. Now, the other thing in the news, and before that, I want to challenge the abortion coalition of Borgia, Williams, Harkham, and there's a fourth, Shimsky, to do what they're supposed to do. This is about the 40th time I've asked you to investigate the way Planned Parenthood has conducted their business with RU46 and butchered women in this county, and the way they've covered up what abortion butchers have done in this county and in this state, by the way. Let them go where they butcher people in other states. By the way, what's the state remedy under Cuomo's law? They will not be subject to criminal penalties, like for murder when they kill a woman and kill a child in the 9th month. They will be subject to administrative penalties. Anytime you want, I'll discuss in public or in private the history of administrative penalties in this state just on Westchester abortionists alone. I'd be glad to discuss that.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I'd like to say one final thing.
Sir.
Thank you for the way Ken Jenkins ran this legislature. He ran it as a gentleman. He ran it, and he selected an excellent staff. And I'd like to take my hats off. I'm not very happy with the way he rigged the alignment of districts in this county using a Democratic operative.
Mr. Riley.
But no one could have run a legislature in a kinder, more businesslike way than he did. And Mr. Speaker, I hope you do the same.
Thank you for your comment, sir.
Regina Riley.
My name is Regina Riley. I'm from the 9th County Legislative District, and I'm going to follow up on what was just said regarding the Women's Equality Act in New York State and its 10th item. The New York State Senate allowed 9 of those items to get passed without any problems. It was the 10th one that made women second-class citizens when it came to medical procedures, in particular abortion. It allows a non-doctor to do an abortion on a woman. That's like a non-doctor taking out somebody's prostate. I don't think a man, certainly if I were a man, I wouldn't want them to be taking out my prostate if he weren't a doctor. So I don't want a woman to have an abortion by a non-doctor. And not only that, all 9 months, for the second and third trimester to have an abortion at all is extremely dangerous. And then to let a non-doctor do it on top, second-class citizens you're making us. There's nothing increasing a woman's abilities to be equal to men there. They're getting a back alley again, only they're putting it in the front alley. Another thing is, when there's nothing, I beg to differ with the gentleman before me, about the Roe v. Wade allowing non-doctors to do abortions. That's something New York State is allowing, wants to allow, through this 10th piece in the Women's Equality Act and also in Stuart Cousins and Hassel-Thompson and Cuomo's Reproductive Health Act. It's S438 if you want to look it up, and it's S5881 if you want to look up the 9th part of the Senate bills, that they cut it into 10 bills. So we're second-class citizens in what they're trying to pass there, and it only lost by 1 vote. I'm indignant about that. Also, women, even in the womb, are considered second-class citizens. When you can have an abortion for sex selection, and when they do a sex selection, most of the time they want a boy. So that means the fetal girl, if it's a fetal girl and she wants a boy, the mother or the father wants a boy, abort the kid, abort the girl. Yeah, is that great? Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that equality now? Just think of that. And the protection for the woman or the protection for the minor when she is 13 or 14 years old, she doesn't have the protection of her family. You're not allowed to give they won't allow parental consent in this state, and not under this law. They won't allow even parental notification for a minor in this law. Is that really beneficial for young women when it changes their entire life after it's done? So I submit to you, you look up these 2 laws that I just talked about, and you get a hold of your senators and your assemblymen and tell them this is not good for women. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deidre Curran.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations on everybody for getting elected or re-elected. My first name is Deirdre. My last name is Curran. I was a Rye resident. I recently moved to Portchester, so Mr. Gelfarb, you're my new legislator. I chased you through a parking lot with my multi-poop last summer, trying to talk to you about Playland. I don't know if you remember that. 3 minutes is not enough for me to say everything I want to say about what's going on with sustainable Playland. There's no way I can get it in there. So I'm going to ask each one of you the same question I asked the entire Rye City Council last October 23rd, which is, how many of you want a 95,000 square foot indoor sports facility being built 50 yards from your front door or over the backyard fence, or 2 houses down the street from you? This is a completely inappropriate construction to be put in the middle of a residential neighborhood. I don't understand how it could even have ever been considered. Playland needs to be taken care of as an amusement park. If you bring the appropriate people to run it and make it successful, you don't need the field zone and you don't need the field house. What you need is the parking lot. Without that parking lot, that amusement park is never going to be successful. I worked very hard in the fight earlier in the year to convince everybody to leave the amusement park in. And we were really happy that we got over 2,600 signatures on a petition. We now have almost 300 signatures on a petition to prevent the field house. We always knew that if you left the amusement park in, you had to leave the entire parking lot. I worked at Playland for 5 summers in the 1980s when I was a teenager. My father used to drive me up from Larchmont. There were many, many days, not just 4th of July, any Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, that I was scheduled to come in and work an afternoon shift. We had to leave almost an hour before I was due, and there were many times I had arguments in the car with my father on Playland Parkway because I had to get out of the car and walk from either Midland Avenue or Milton Road or Forest Avenue down through the Playland entrance because it took less time for me to walk into the park that way to punch in than it would have taken for my father to sit in traffic waiting to get down to the circle. When you bring that amusement park back to life, you better believe there are going to be significant traffic problems in Rye, and you better believe there's going to be parking overflow. Sustainable Playland doesn't get it. You cannot take that much of the parking lot out and have everything else succeed. There's no way you can add more amenities and bring more people in. Furthermore, year-round traffic is going to put a burden on that tiny community. There are very few Westchester County parks that I know of that are so sandwiched in such a tight residential neighborhood. I would urge all of you to take a drive down there and drive through the area and imagine, in the summertime, most of the families are out of town and the kids aren't in school. But when you have this year-round traffic that's going to be constant, it's never going to end, we've got kids, all of those streets, this is near all of our elementary schools, all of those streets in the afternoon and the morning are kids biking, walking, going to and from school. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic. The infrastructure of Rye and the streets can't handle the traffic that's coming. Please, please, please reconsider. Don't even consider giving Sustainable Playland the keys to that park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have no more speaker cards.
Excellent. At this time, let's go to standing committees.
Submitted by the Committee on Rules, item 6572.
Over.
Over, Mr. Jenkins.
Excuse me, wasn't this put over last time, or this was taken off the agenda?
It was recommitted.
It was recommitted last time, wasn't it?
2-minute recess in place if we could. Thank you. Second item.
Submitted by the Committee on Rules,
Over.
Over Mr. Jenkins.
Just one.
Submitted by the Committee on Rules. Item number 6587, a resolution authorizing the designation of official BOL newspapers for the 2014-2015 legislative term.
Ms. Borgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on Rules did have an occasion to review the official newspapers, and we did make some changes to the papers that were in our last legislative session. We took out Newsday, since they're no longer publishing in Westchester County, and added 2 Spanish language or Spanish audience newspapers, El Agua and Pluma Libre, to the list of official newspapers. So now it reads the Journal News, Westchester County Business Journal, the County Press, the New York Post, the New York Times, the Westchester Guardian, El Agua, and Pluma Libre.
Long roll call? Well, actually, short roll call on this one.
Majority Leader Borgia?
Yes.
Minority Leader Testa?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano? Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
The item passes 17-0. Submitted by the Committee on Budget and Appropriations, item number 6584, a resolution approving the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, or CBAC, for the 2014-2015 legislative term.
Any discussion? We'll go short roll call. What's that? Yeah, I guess from rules, yes. Madam Majority Leader? It's co-chair of the...
So moved.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to.
Must be budget, actually.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is seeking to reinstate, or as we always do, put together the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee. It does not have names at this point in time. We will do that at a later date. This has been a longstanding committee, as you know. So moved.
As posted to Budget Appropriations, any discussion? Otherwise, short roll call. Yes, short roll call.
Sorry. Ms. Marcotte?
Aye.
Ms. Borgia?
Yes.
Minority Leader Testa?
Yes.
Mr. Mazzano? And Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
The item passes 17-0.
Before we go to motions, resolutions, and call, legislators, please stay flexible. We're going to have a special meeting, either in 24, 48 hours, whatever the requisite time is to deal with the items that were overed. So with that said, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk, excuse me.
Motions, resolutions, and calls of the district.
Have any, Ms. Perez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to add the name of Ms. Mary Eileen Gloucester, please. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to add the name Ann Collins. Thank you.
Ms. Shimsky?
I'd like to add the name Ronald Thomas Smith for my district. I'd also like to point out that if any legislators have worked closely with Assemblyman Brodsky in his long career in this county, his longest-serving employee, Sal Rubino, recently passed away from injuries sustained in a car accident. To say the name, if you knew him, you know, he was rather an outsized personality. I'd just like to give my colleagues, if any of them knew him, the opportunity to sign on.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with that, too.
Perhaps all legislators would like to go on that for sure. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Shimsky. Mr. Testa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to mention a name. I know Legislator Borgia has joined me on this. For Captain Clayton Carpenter, as we all know, the tragic story of this young man who passed in a tragic accident down in Georgia just a couple weeks ago. After 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, to have such a tragedy happen to one of our heroes is just beyond comprehension to all of us, especially his family. Just want to mention him tonight and ask that all legislators join on that for Captain Carton.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other additions to memorial resolutions? Ms. Williams?
I'd just like to indicate that I added my name with Mr. Mazzano to Frank Joseph Braca. Mr. Braca was a long-term member of the town of Greenburgh before He retired from the White Plains School District and took up residency in New Rochelle. Frank was ardently passionate, civically minded citizen who headed the Italian American Committee in the town of Greenberg for many years and did a lot of good work. And I join his family in mourning his passing.
Thank you. Excellent. No other resolutions or memorial at this time. Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One, I would like to be added to Neil DeLuca Jr. Thank you so much. Certainly with Mr. DeSantis as well. Mr. Chairman, on call of the districts, part of the reason that we have at this particular time, I've spoken with the county attorney to ask for the opinion of the county attorney on the hiring and firing of our board staff. Until that resolution is adopted, the board maintains control of hiring and firing of any staff member that's not currently on our payroll. So that would indicate that if there has been any modifications in additions to our staffing and hiring, those would be inappropriate at this particular point in time, and those members, until either you as chairman receive that authority or the board as a whole would vote for those individuals, those things would not change. And that is in our long-standing rule here. In addition, Mr. Chairman, I did hear you note that there would be a special meeting on the rules of the board, specifically state that we would be, any member has the ability to over an item, and it would go to the next stated meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Any other call of district at this time? Otherwise, Ms. Borgia?
Make a motion that we adjourn and reconvene at our, at least for now, at our next, oh, don't we have to stand and do the...
Ms. Shimsky? Ms. Borgia, yield to Ms. Shimsky, who?
Sure.
I'd like to be added to the points.
Mm-hmm.
It's under legislative. And will you ever Oliver as well?
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Borgia?
A couple of weeks. Mr. Chairman, would you like for us to stand in honor of
Well,
these?
You've adjourned, you gave us a date for the next meeting?
Sure. I make a motion to adjourn that we, to meet at our regular scheduled meeting of February 10th, 2014 at 7 p.m.
Excellent. Would you all please stand for a moment of silence? We'll do a roll call to adjourn. Okay, let's do a roll call on adjournment.
Majority Leader Borgia?
Yes.
Minority Leader Testa? Mr. Mazzano? Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
17, by a vote of 17-0, the board stands adjourned.
You're adjourned. Thank you.
Virginia.
Thank you.